I'm going to show you a plugin chain for mixing snare drums that you can use as a go-to default approach, and it's going to work for you every time you mix. So I'll walk through every step in the chain and all the moves I make. I'll just let you hear the song I'm going to be using here. So this song is actually part of, I guess, an Easter egg in the new Call of Duty Black Ops game. There's a guy named Kevin Sherwood who's written all these songs, and they go super viral within this Call of Duty community, I guess. They've got millions and tens of millions upon millions of streams, and so he wrote this track for the new game, and I got to mix it. So pretty fun project to be a part of. Definitely check it out. Now let's zero in on the drums here. So I've just muted the sample there, and as you can hear, the live snare still sounds really good. So let me just go ahead and get rid of everything on the snare track here, and we'll walk through this magic plugin chain one by one. All right, here's the raw snare track. All right, so step one in the plugin chain is going to be a gate. So this is obviously just to clean up all the cymbal bleed. Now, listen, I guess I'm totally biased because I designed this plugin. This is by my plugin brand, Black Salt Audio, but I think if you search around the internet, you will find a consensus that this thing is the best gate that your money can buy out there right now. Check this out. Now, I'm going to come back to this, and this gate is going to become even more important. Like right now, there's not a ton of bleed. It doesn't seem like a big deal. But once we add everything else in the chain, it's going to be a big deal. So that's step one, though, a gate. Now, step two is going to be EQ. That's what I like to do next. So let's bring in the rest of the drums again. And I love the SSL channel. I've been using this thing for well over a decade here. So let's start with some EQ. Typically start with boosting some top and bottom, so around 8K and then 200 hertz. Maybe some upper mids as well. And then it's got a little bit of a honkiness in the mid-range. Let's try and find that. Yeah, that kind of 900 area. So that's going to be step two in your chain, all right? So gate, then EQ. Step three is going to be compression. Now you can use another compressor plugin if you want. I like using the compressor on the SSL channel. I think it sounds great for drums, and I like using it at 3:1 ratio, slow attack. So you only have two choices on this plugin, fast attack or slow attack. Slow attack, fastest possible release. In this case, about 100 milliseconds. And I put it after the EQ, which is what this button means right here. So let's check this out. Bypass the compressor. Back in. So without going too much into the weeds on what this is doing, I have other videos on this, but a slow attack, fast release compressor on the snare, it's going to allow the initial transient to get through, then the compression is going to clamp down, and it's going to have the effect of kind of increasing that initial transient. And so this is just a classic compression technique that people have been using on all sorts of drums, I don't know, for forever. So just remember that slow attack, fast release on the snare drum adds a lot of attack and punch to your snare. So just like that, we're already 3 steps deep into the plugin chain with our gate, EQ, compression. Already sounds pretty great, and we'll follow it up with the 4th and last step, which is saturation. So I'm going to use another one of my own plugins I designed here called Escalator from Black Salt Audio. Just very easy, simple to use, sounds great on snares and other drums. You can also check out like Massey Tapehead if you're a Pro Tools user. I love that one in this stage as well. Soundtoys Decapitator, but let's check out Escalator. Now, something I want you to notice what's happening here. Now, with the plugin bypass, check out the meter on the snare here. It's peaking, right? Just because of the way we've done the compression here and the EQ on the SSL channel. The output of that is very hot. Now, watch what happens with Escalator on. See, all of a sudden, this meter is kind of capped here. We've got a ceiling. Now, the reason that that's happening is because this saturation, the more aggressive we get, if we dial it up, you'll hear it get more crunchy. We don't want to go that high, but it's essentially starting to distort and kind of round off or slice off the top of that transient, which actually helps a lot when you're mixing drums, because notice how even though kind of the overall output level on this meter is now down from where it was without it, the drum itself actually sounds louder. So by subtly distorting that transient and shaving off the top, we're bringing up a lot of the body, bringing up a lot of the tone and the volume. Sometimes you have to adjust the EQ a bit after you add this saturation. And just like that, let's check it in the mix. Sounds like a record. Now, I said the gate would become more important as we added these different steps of the chain. Check it out now without the gate on. All that EQ, the compression, especially the saturation and kind of distortion on the snare is bringing up all that bleed. So this silencer plugin is super important. You can even hear it in context of the entire drum mix. Silencer just does such an amazing job, so effortlessly, of just getting rid of all that nasty bleed and leaving you with a drum that actually still sounds good. You don't really compromise anything in the tone. Now, all these EQ settings, these frequencies I use, the compression settings, this is actually all outlined in my free mixing cheat sheet. You can download it below or at mixcheatsheet.com, and it's just got all of my go-to starting points for really the plugin chains that I'm using on not only kick, snare, toms, but everything else in the mix as well. So definitely go and grab that cheat sheet for free. And all the plugins I used in this video will link to down below. Now, the actual plugin choices are not as important as just the overall principle and philosophy and order of the processing I did here. So remember, it's a gate, then EQ, follow that up with compressor, and then finally saturation. And the odd time I might add another plugin or two in the mix here. Sometimes it's a second stage of saturation, actually. Sometimes it's an extra EQ maybe at the end just to clean things up a little bit more. But this is the overall approach that is going to work for you in mix after mix after mix. It's a tried and true approach and gives you a great snare sound. So try it out on your next mix. Grab that mixing cheat sheet so you have all this info for quick reference. And if you want to go a little deeper on understanding which frequencies kind of always work to boost and cut on snare drum, go ahead and check out this video next.